Welcome to another episode of A Beer with Atlas. I'm Rich.
I'm Brian.
And this week we continue on with Mainstream May, a beer that you can get everywhere.
Even daycare centers.
Absolutely. I'd like to go to those.
Yeah.
I mean, I take my kid to those daycare centers.
Yeah, I don't know. This truly is one of those beers that you can get anywhere.
Anywhere. Blue Moon.
Yeah.
Belgian wit. Been around for a long, long time.
Yeah.
I can't wait to get into this. I can't wait to hear your research because there's some fun stuff with Blue Moon, and I'm sure there's some. If there are craft beer drinkers that actually listen to our podcast,
Yeah.
they will turn it off because of the venom that the craft industry has for Blue Moon.
I am one of those people. It seems like I'm really suspending those long held beliefs. First of all, you just screwed it off. You didn't need an opener.
Didn't
so
need
that's
an
strike
opener.
one.
Strike one. Yep.
Oh boy.
And you know what? It was a reflex too. I just assumed.
You just thought, you know what? Here, I'm glad that wasn't on camera.
Yeah.
That was. Oh boy.
Look at that. It's a mess.
Yeah. Well, it's just Blue Moon. If you spill it.
Look, I topped you off there.
Oh, thank you.
I give you a lot of it.
Huh.
So, Blue Moon, been around since, let's see, what is 1995. Long time.
Yeah.
Long time. Belgian wit. And I hope you probably did some kind of research on because we've talked about wits before.
Yeah,
like
just a little bit. Yep.
And I've had Blue Moons everywhere. It's kind of a safe go-to if you don't want to drink Bud Light or Miller Lite or whatever. If you're at just, corner bar or whatever, and they generally have Blue Moon, and they'll put a chunk of orange in there for you for whatever reason, and there you go. Boy, that was not a good face you made.
Well, it is early.
Yeah,
Okay.
true.
And it's and it's Blue Moon.
And it's Blue Moon. So it all began at the Sandlot Brewery at Coors Field in Denver, Colorado.
That's right.
At Coors Field, a baseball field. Mm-hmm. And is Sandlot Brewery still around? Like, is that
I believe, yes, it is. From what I could tell, I read something that they're still making 1,500 barrels of this a year at that place.
So they moved in 2016. Blue Moon bought some land in the Rhino District. Mm-hmm. Remember we talked about the Rhino District before down there in Denver, and they're brewing 20 plus different kinds of beers, rotating taps at that brewery there in downtown Denver.
And they also have a tap house in Norfolk, Virginia.
Really?
Yeah.
Just for distribution purposes,
Just
I assume.
a tap room, just a tap house, just like the one they have in Denver. You can roll up there and try all sorts of different ones.
Huh.
So it's their East Coast presence. I'm sure they're brewing a lot of beer down there too, but they have an actual tap room and
Interesting.
bar.
Huh. So this is fun, and we'll get into this just a little bit. So Blue Moon is a wholly owned entity of 10th and Blake Beer Company, the craft and import division of Miller Coors.
Yes.
So Miller Coors has a craft division. I'm making the little quote marks with my fingers, right? So a craft beer division, which I think is kind of dirty to begin with.
Yeah.
Okay. Regardless of where you land on whatever side,
Right.
whatever it is, but they actually have a division that is just craft beer. So they're pretending to be craft, and Blue Moon is the probably the largest beer that they do. I assume
sure.
out of that.
Yeah.
So what I thought was funny, and I clipped this out of an article because they actually put craft beer in quotes here. 2012. Blue Moon came under fire from the Brewers Association for not stating on the bottle that they were made by Miller Coors.
Yeah.
And that's, I guess, the Brewers Association they carry some power, I think, in general. I mean, just especially as craft has grown.
Yeah, I think so. I think they also got in trouble too, or they have to say it's a Belgian style, because Belgium was like, "Yo, you don't make that here. You can't call it a Belgian wheat or a Belgian wit. You have to say it's a Belgian style on your labeling."
Interesting.
Because they push back on that too. Because they were, those big entities, they're trying to trick you and they want your dollar.
Absolutely.
So you might accidentally somehow not have had a Blue Moon before, and you might think it's from Belgium, and then you might buy it, I guess.
Maybe. If you were early in my beer drinking career, I didn't know any better, and I made those assumptions that Blue Moon was still independent, much like, I don't know, Goose Island out of Chicago, I thought was still independent, and they're not.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's quite a few of those like that.
I can say with some clarity, not a whole lot of certainty, but maybe some clarity that Blue Moon, I'm doing quote fingers too now, is the first non-domestic beer that I really drink.
Okay.
So I call it a domestic beer now. Uh-oh, this is a boring story.
Yeah.
I call it domestic beer. It is, to me, it's a domestic beer. But back when I first saw it, you didn't know that. It had
No.
the old bottle, it had the old logos on it, the old label. And it had flavor, which was weird.
Right.
It wasn't a Miller Lite or a Coors or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I had it at Yaya's downtown in Lincoln at the pizza place there.
Okay.
And I remember drinking it, and I seriously remember going like, "What is this?
Yep.
This tastes weird and good and strange, and this is not what I was expecting." And my friend was like, "Oh yeah, these are great," And then I wish I could travel back in time and give myself a couple of finger wags.
But at the time, you didn't.
But
know.
you didn't know.
You
Nobody
didn't.
knew. Craft beer wasn't what it is now, and it was just a little bit. It was definitely different, and some people, this is their favorite beer, and I'm okay with that. It's just not mine.
I'm totally fine with that too. Like it's a go-to for me when there's nothing else available.
Yeah.
Generally, my safe beer would be a Sam Adams. If I was someplace that didn't have anything else, right? It was just those kind of standards. And,
Yeah.
And if there is no Sam Adams, then I would drink a Blue Moon, and I think that's okay. I don't have any problem with that at all.
I feel like I've come a long way. I used to be very staunch about don't any InBev, don't do any of that stuff.
Sure.
But then I know for a fact, for me, the Dad Beers episode, drinking a Schlitz or a Hams, that was actually, it still tasted good.
Yeah.
So like the perceived notions that you might have, try to suspend them. Try to enjoy this for what it is, just what it tastes like.
You can still shop at Walmart if you have to, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's just kind of how now if you could go to a farmer's market, do that, right?
Yeah.
And so,
But if you're in a pinch and you need a pair of socks, roll over to Walmart.
Exactly.
Pick you up a 12-pack of Blue Moon.
all right. So last thing, tap room there in the Rhino District of Denver, Sunday through Thursday, 11 to 9, Friday and Saturday, 11 to 10. I think if you're anywhere down that way, there are a ton of good breweries in downtown Denver. It'd be fun to stop at this one and make sure you check out the other ones too.
Whenever people are excited, because they know me and they know that I'm a beer guy, right? So
Right.
people will be like, "Oh, I'm going on a beer tour. We're going to Colorado." I'll be like, "Which one?" Blue Moon.
Yeah.
No.
We're going to do the Coors tour
Like,
in
you
Golden.
ever heard of Weldworks or New Belgium or anywhere?
Anywhere.
But this place doesn't need
Yes.
your money.
No.
They're operating just fine. I want to talk about a little bit about that Sandlot Brewery
Okay.
because I think that's cool. They also make a beer there called Bellyside Wit. That's the name of this beer.
Yes.
So in that brewery, I think it's called that still. They don't call it Blue Moon. I think they just call it this still, from what I could tell in my research.
Belly Slide, is that what it is?
Yeah, Belly Slide. That's it. And then they had two other ones. Let's see if I wrote it down. I don't think I did, but they were also like baseball named. So they had like an amber and then like a lager or whatever. It was like Pop Fly lager or whatever.
Yep.
But from what I can tell, they're still making beer. And I think there's probably more Major League Baseball parks now that have breweries, I would guess. I would think something like Seattle maybe, or San Diego. I would think one of those two places would maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, those are beer areas anyway.
I remember hearing that Petco Park in San Diego has it's a craft, and I want to say Stone, and I don't think that's right. But I mean, they have a very large presence there in the park.
It might be.
Goose Island just opened has a very large presence in Wrigley Field now, which was before dominated by
Budweiser, right? Yeah.
old style. Like it was just dominated by that, and now Goose Island has a big presence there.
Can you imagine Harry Carey after a few IPAs? He would have been falling out of the window,
man.
reaching out with his fishnet,
Yep.
catching fly. Oh my goodness, that would have been amazing.
Could you imagine just what would his take on some of these names be? I think he'd just be pissed.
Oh yeah, he's old school.
Yeah.
he couldn't pronounce most of them. flavors. He would be like lavender and buttermilk. What the? I don't know. I'm not
Get
drinking
this
this.
out of here.
Give me a Pilsner.
Give me a Budweiser.
That's right. I think he would be very against craft beer. Oh man, that's great to think about.
The
I want
world
an
is-
alternate universe where he loves IPAs and like milkshake IPAs and sours and turns up his nose at a Budweiser.
Baseball would have been a very different thing, I think, if that were the case.
Let's see. What are the other things I wrote down about this one? Oh, okay. This beer has actually won gold medals.
Yeah.
Gold medals in the World Beer Championship and the World Beer Cup. Kind of like a lot of the other breweries we talked about. Early on in the game, they were winning awards, right?
Yep.
Like Nebraska Brewing Company comes to mind. They won a bunch of awards the first couple years.
Yep.
And then more and more competition and less awards for those folks. But this beer has won awards. The guy that created it, I think his name's Keith Villa.
Keith Villa. Yep.
I think he's still kind of in charge of it, and he has a PhD in brewing that he got in Belgium. So he went to school and is legit. He's a legit brewer.
I wrote that down because that's interesting. I think as maybe the need for college degrees has maybe diminished over the years.
Yeah.
That you can still get a degree in brewing beer. That's awesome.
You can get an advanced degree. We're not talking associates. This is a PhD.
Because you're a chemist at that point.
Basically, chemist, biologist. You got to learn about spores and mold and yeast and all that sort of stuff. There's a lot of science and math which goes into beer, which is why I don't make any beer at all. I just buy it. I can't do that.
Brewers are smart dudes. Like head brewmasters are super intelligent dudes.
My brother-in-law, he's a good home brewer, and that's as far as he would ever want to go with it. But he can calculate specific gravity and all that sort of stuff with maybe a piece of paper, and I'm just he can tell you what his ABV is going to be depending on the temperature of his boil and all this stuff. I'm just whatever, man. It just tastes good to me. That's all I know.
Too smart for me. Way too smart for me.
So we talked about Denver and Norfolk. There is another on the horizon Blue Moon property that's happening, and it's a place that I know holds a spot in your heart and Dolan's for sure.
Sure.
It's in Las Vegas.
Oh.
And it's going to be in the Planet Hollywood Resort.
Oh.
You ever been there? No? Okay.
Oh, you've been there.
Have I?
You don't remember it, but you've been there.
You were there.
Oh,
Is that where the
yes.
roller coaster is?
Nope, that's New York, New York.
No, this might have been towards the end of one of your nights.
Exactly.
Maybe where the guy got stabbed or whatever.
Remember when you called Sammy and you said, I'm going to get fired? Remember that?
That was Planet
You were in
Hollywood.
Planet Hollywood.
They're going to open a Blue Moon bar there.
Really?
They're working on it now.
Okay.
It's going to be beer-based cocktails is going to be the main feature. So they're not just going to... they'll have this, too. You can walk up and get one. And they'll have the seasonals there. We've got a couple on the table. But their main thing is going to be, high-end beer-based cocktails, which are kind of fun. If you've ever been to a place like that, those are kind of fun to do. But that's a new thing that's coming out in the Blue Moon world.
You're talking a step beyond just the margarita with the Corona sticking in the side of it, right? I mean, is that okay?
Yes, this is one of the ingredients of the drink. So you'd be with, grenadine, or they'd have this with some gin and juniper or whatever. There's a lot of different things you can do, playing on the flavors that are in those seasonals. So it's just another ingredient. It's kind of not necessarily the base of the drink. It's not 6 ounces of beer and then they just put a little something in it. It's like an actual drink with liquor that this is one of the ingredients that they would put. So they're kind of fun. You'll see it at some high end cocktail bars or prohibition style speakeasies, I guess is the term. They make those kind of things. So
I'd probably give one of those a shot.
they're fun.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't want to drink them all night, but it's fun to try.
Okay.
Let's see. Let's talk about Belgian wit. So the main thing that's any real difference is Valencia is used in the brewing. Valencia orange peel. So a lot of the American style wits and wheats, even the German style ones, they don't use that, which gives those beers more of a banana and clove sometimes flavor, and also it pairs well with lemon.
Right.
So when you use this Valencia orange peel, it's a different citrus profile, which is why the orange pairs very nicely with it. And that was something that this Keith guy came up with when he was over there in Europe, like learning about it and going to school, they were doing lemon with wheat beers, and like that even wasn't common here in the United States. That's still something that is kind of new.
I don't believe I've ever been served a lemon with a beer before.
Really?
Orange, maybe cherries. I've even had like frozen blueberries like floating in there because it was a blueberry wheat.
Yeah.
And then they froze blueberries and threw them in there like as ice cubes, kind of.
That's
or
kinda
whatever.
cool.
It was kind of fun. I
Yeah.
don't know.
But yeah, so this is one that you would not want to put a lemon with. It just doesn't work. The orange is pretty nice, so you can put it right in there. Just put it on the rim. You can do like we did with Chris with the Mexican beers, where we kind of rimmed it with the lime. You can do that same thing with the orange.
Interesting.
But it really brings that out, the nose of it out, especially when you hit it there, and it just complements it. So if you're going to drink these, or if you're going to drink it at home for some reason, get an orange and cut it up and try it. It really does change it. At least for me, it makes it taste a little bit better.
Yeah, and I think here's the thing. Maybe we've downplayed it a little bit. There's absolutely nothing wrong with this whatsoever.
Yeah.
Like if this is your go-to or whatever,
Yeah.
God bless you. I mean, you're not drinking just,
It makes my heart happy if you like this over like,
Yes.
a Coors Light or something, and this is your thing, because there's at least something's going on with this.
Yep.
And somebody created it.
flavor and
It wasn't like like a math problem that they make the same batch every time. Like originally, it came from somebody. And now it's just big production stuff. But I would like to try it at Coors Field and see if it's any different.
I would too. And it's just based on, because it's going to be different. Every time you go to a brewery, it's going to be different than maybe you have it in a can or a bottle or a keg somewhere far away or whatever. I even had that experience when we went a couple years back we did the Budweiser tour in St. Louis, because we were in St. Louis and a bunch of nurses were with us and they thought it'd be fun. I thought it'd be fun. It really was. I mean, it was super interesting.
Did you see the Clydesdales?
Saw the Clydesdales
that'd be worth
and the Dalmatian was there too.
Nice.
It was fun. But then you got like step 3 of the tour is like the coming right out, or whatever. It was delicious.
Yeah.
It was not like Bud Light, Coors Light, Budweiser, anything I've ever had. Like, why doesn't it taste like this all the time?
Yeah.
So I can only imagine what Blue Moon would taste like there at the park.
Yeah, it's definitely got to be different. And I think for that one, for a Budweiser tour, that'd be fun, because that's one of our oldest breweries, so it'd be fun to see that history and stuff.
The history was amazing.
Yeah.
And what they did during Prohibition and, that type of thing. The Coors tour there in Golden.
Yeah.
If you're in Denver, you can go to Golden and go and do the Coors tour. It's not great. I mean, it's okay.
Yeah.
The history part is fantastic.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
I went through my Untapped list. I wanted to see, because they make a lot of different kinds of this.
20 plus.
So I wanted to go through and see some of the ones I've checked in before.
Okay.
And then see like what you think, if you would try it or not.
Okay.
And I can tell you this one, most of these came in mixed 12 packs. So it wasn't, is that where you got these?
That's where I got these.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a funny story about this after we're done.
So the first one on my list I wrote down was cinnamon horchata.
Oh.
And it came in a mixed 12 pack, and it was actually like the end of summer when it came out. So it was like the push for fall beers.
Okay.
So it was like a fall seasonal pack, but we had it in July. And I drank that thing, and it was so good.
What?
So good, because
Really?
I like cinnamon. That's kind of a thing I like. It was so good. We went and bought another 12 pack just to get the 3 bottles of the horchata. We didn't care about the other stuff. We wanted those, and you couldn't get it in like a 6 pack, so you had to buy the mixed 12 to
How
get
long
that.
ago was this? Was it recent?
2014.
Okay, so 5 years back. Okay.
Yeah. And then the same year they had a gingerbread spiced ale, so it wasn't a stout. It was like a pumpkin beer, but instead of that, what was that face?
The mango wheat.
Yeah. Allegedly, this is one of their big sellers.
Okay.
I saw online.
All right.
Cappuccino oatmeal stout was in 2015. I had that.
Interesting.
Harvest pumpkin, or Harvest Moon, it used to be called.
Oh, yeah.
That was probably the first pumpkin beer I ever had. It was it was in 2011. So that's 8 years ago. Mm-hmm. That's
a long time ago.
There's only 8 years ago in Nebraska, there's like 3 breweries open.
Yep. Was Nebraska Brewing Company even open?
I
back
don't
then?
think so.
Like that was our first.
Well,
Well,
in Omaha it
okay,
was.
yeah.
Well, I think maybe upstream beat them.
That's right.
Empyrean, they weren't here yet, but they were in Lincoln.
They were in Lincoln.
And then I think there might have been one other one, but this was the first, like, you could get it in the grocery store pumpkin beer that I ever had. And it wasn't terrible. Agave Nectar Ale, 2012.
I've had that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And then in 2013, they had a peanut butter ale.
Peanut butter ale.
Yeah. Not like a stout
I would
or
not have.
porter.
I wouldn't expect that.
No. And then I did see that most of these, they do every year, they do a couple different flavors or versions. And then they're kind of retired. But it's like Disney. Then they put it in the vault. And then they take it out of the vault 5 years, 10 years from now. And oh, remember that when you liked that cinnamon horchata and you had to buy 2 12-packs to get six of the bottles? Well, here we go. It's back. So those are some of the ones that I have tried that I thought were interesting.
That's super interesting. But they're all under the name Blue Moon. Yes, is that the okay?
I mean, it's like this. It says Blue Moon.
Yep.
And then it says Blue Moon Mango Wheat.
Mango wheat. So we got the mixed 12-pack that you can find right now anywhere. We'll have the standard Belgian white, there'll be 6 of those.
Okay.
And then there's 3 honey wheat and 3 mango wheat.
Okay.
Which is
So
interesting.
this is their summertime
Yep.
lineup, huh?
And that mango wheat is super mango-y.
Oh boy, are you a mango guy? Don't.
Love mango.
You like mango?
Yeah, get on that mic. Let's hear about it.
Mango's my favorite fruit.
No.
I thought you were
Hands
gonna say
down.
mango was your middle
Well,
name.
actually, mango's my middle name. Hobo pork chop mango.
D-Rock.
D-Rock. Yep.
The only thing I can think of when I think of mango, you're my age.
Saturday Night
Live.
Mango.
Chris Kattan.
Oh, man.
Golly, that
Yep.
was
God, that
so
was
dumb
And
and so great.
so awesome and so stupid at the same time. Mango. Oh yeah. Okay, I can't wait to get your take on this one because it's
I saw a sketch. They were talking about mango on Jimmy Fallon like last week.
Yeah.
Chris Kattan was on. He's got a new book out.
Okay.
And they were talking about where did the inspiration for mango come from. And I didn't plan to talk about this today. I didn't know we were having this. But
Okay.
The inspiration for his character came, he said, from his Russian girlfriend. So she would get all mad and pouty, and then he had a Dalmatian that he said had the come hither look. So he would say, I can't remember what the dog's name was, but let's say it's Dolan,
Okay.
for the sake of this. He would say, Dolan, and then Dolan would go over his shoulder.
and give that mango look.
And so it's a combination of his ex-Russian girlfriend and his dog, and that's the inspiration for Mango. And Mango was a stripper's name that he knew, so it was all put together. That's the character.
I would hang out with Chris Kattan. I think that's
man, that's
right.
the nose on that is unpleasant.
It's not good.
It smells like
It smells like rotting fruit
it
almost.
smells like overripe. You know
there
what
we
I
go.
mean?
When you get 1 or 2 like little fruit flies flying around it, right? That first drink is so bitey, and
I mean, it definitely tastes like mango.
Oh,
Dolan's
yeah.
gonna love this thing.
Dolan's gonna love this one.
He's gonna love this one.
You want me to slide this over
I'll try
to
to
you?
put it back in there. The bottle. There you go. You have a pull off of that.
Let's see. Let's get Dolan's take on this one because
I mean, it's very much like an apricot or a nectarine. You get that sort of stone fruity flavor.
yeah,
Dolan's like, dang, girl.
yeah.
I don't know. I love it. It's great.
All right.
I think it's just as good as the regular.
I love his take. It's awesome.
It's great.
It's great. Less filling. All right. Let's hear your story before I hijacked it with Chris Kattan.
So if you ever want to feel like a degenerate, just a degenerate alcoholic,
Oh, yeah.
go to. So I live in West Omaha,
Okay.
and I don't assume it's like this at every. My Omaha's my Walmart's a little snooty, sometimes
Snooty
a little
Walmart.
snooty, and go to a Walmart at 6:30 in the morning and buy a 12-pack.
Get a few looks. did you?
Because I forgot that normally the beers are here, and we have them in the fridge here. Completely forgot. So 6:30 in the morning as I'm driving to work, I whip into Walmart and walk through, and it's mostly just employees, and then there's a handful of people shopping or whatever.
Yeah.
Every one of them looked at me like I was some kind of just degenerate alcoholic as I'm rolling through with a 12-pack of Blue Moon.
I mean, in your defense, I don't think alcoholics drink Blue Moon.
Yeah, true.
I think they're just going straight, they're
They're just going
PBR
diesel.
or
Yeah.
vodka.
I used to manage a Casey's for 2 years, and for those of you who don't know, Casey's is like a huge Midwestern gas station,
Convenience store, yeah.
pizza place, and
Really good pizza.
yeah,
Somehow. I don't even know how that's possible.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's mostly the 6 o'clock in Nebraska is when alcohol sales open up again.
Yep.
And it's mostly vodka or Canadian whiskey.
Yep, that's cheaper.
Yeah, or Steel Reserve.
Oh, yeah.
ooh.
See, that stuff is rough because it's malt liquor, and it's
Yeah.
like 8 or 9%, but it's a tall boy can of that's like $1.79. So you can get the party started pretty good.
I think if I were buying that, it would maybe the looks would have been more like feeling sorry for me. Maybe. And in this case, it was just super judgmental. I don't know.
Maybe they wanted to come party with you.
Maybe. I don't know.
Like,
I'd party with the Walmart people.
Let's go
I
bust
don't-
these out at the parking lot,
Let's
man.
go sit. Yeah.
We've been stocking shelves all night. We're
Right.
almost off work.
Right. It's It's your 5 o'clock somewhere, right? So there you go.
Yes.
There you go.
That's a good tie-in.
Is it?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Because that's a song, right?
It is.
All right. Well, you know me. If I can do research and tie it to music, I'm going to do that.
I was looking for baseball or music here, so
We got music.
okay.
Specifically 2 songs, standards. These are songs that are covered by lots and lots of folks, and they both have Blue Moon in the title.
Okay.
So the first song is called Blue Moon.
Blue Moon.
You know that one.
I do. Yeah.
You saw me standing alone. That
Yep,
song.
That one.
Covered by the Beatles. It's on the White Album, on the one that they just put out, like a reissue 50-year copy. It has some like studio fluff, basically like what we do before we start recording.
Right.
So they're just kind of playing around,
Oh.
but it included all those versions. In
Not
this
the
one.
original White
No,
Album.
it's not
'cause
on
I
the
was-
actual White Album pressing, but it's on the
I was
it's
gonna
those
say,
sessions.
You're a liar. I don't believe you.
It's on that.
But I would believe this. though.
Elvis Presley did a cover.
Yes. I've
Frank
heard this.
Sinatra,
Oh, really?
Billie Holiday,
Nice.
Dean Martin. Let's see here.
Dean
Who
Martin
else?
covered everything.
Well, those were those were crooners. That's what they did.
Yep.
They didn't write stuff. They just other people did, and then they sang it.
Mm-hmm.
And then this person I have kind of grown to like a lot. Her name is Julie London. She did a version of it too.
Oh.
She's from like late 40s, World War II time frame.
Okay.
So 70 years ago.
Yeah.
Has an amazing voice, and I've just been kind of getting into her lately. The one I wanted to talk about is the Marcells.
Is that the original, like what you would...
It's the one that you think of.
Yeah.
1961.
Okay.
It topped the R&B and pop charts. And a little bit after this song came out, they made a movie with some other like teen stars named Dion. You ever heard that name?
Yes.
So Dion and Chubby Checker made a movie, and it was called Twist Around the Clock. So previous to that, Rock Around the Clock was the thing. Bill Haley and the Comets.
Yep.
People say sometimes that was one of the first rock and roll songs. That's a lie. It's not.
No.
But it was definitely like what brought it to main culture, popular culture, and they put it in the movie.
Okay.
So then after that happened, all these other, even the Beatles had movies, So other people tried to get in on that, and this band got into the movie because of this song. I don't know how to describe the beginning of that song. It's like, I wrote it down. Bomb, ba bomb, ba bomb, ba bomb, bomb.
It's doo-wop.
Da dang, da dang, da ding a dong, blue moon.
Right.
That's how it goes. It is doo-wop,
Doo-wop.
for sure.
Yeah.
So on that album, they had another song, and it was called Heartaches. And it
Okay.
was kind of a second hit for them. It was only popular because this other song was so popular.
Sure.
And I was listening to it yesterday, and I thought, why do I know that? They started it out very similar.
Okay.
That was their, apparently, back in the early 60s, if you had a hit song, you made about 7 more of those basically the
Sure.
same song.
Yeah.
I think of like My Boyfriend's Back. That band had one like that, and It's My Party.
Yep.
Those type of songs. So I was like, why have I heard this? I'd never heard the song before, but I knew that beginning. And then it dawned on me. Lonely Island. You know about Lonely Island?
Oh, yes.
Dylan knows about Lonely Island.
Absolutely.
Pop Star. Have you seen that movie?
No.
It's the movie they made. And it came out, and it was terrible, but it was so awesome. I loved it. I've seen it like 5 times.
Terrible, awesome, like Super Troopers, terrible, awesome?
I like it better because it's about music.
Okay.
And it's about this boy band, basically, that kind of turn into rap stars. But then the one guy is really popular, and he kicks the other 2 guys out. He's like, I don't need you anyway. And he becomes this mega star. And then it's about how he, like, hits, and then he hits rock bottom, and he has to come back. It's like a comeback story with like Michael Bolton cameos and fart jokes. It's basically that. If you know about Lonely Island, it's a Lonely Island movie.
So Lonely Island, for those of you that don't know, is the what's the guy's name?
It's Andy Samberg.
Andy Samberg,
and then his 2 friends.
The I'm on a Boat song.
Yeah, Yorna, and then one other guy. I can't think of his name. But
don't. It's not safe for work. Don't.
Well, it depends on where you work.
Well, true,
headphones.
Yeah,
it's
headphones.
safe for the headphones.
Just Google I'm on a boat.
They did the Lazy Sunday. That was the first big like viral video.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what puts SNL back in the main talking points, and kind of made them relevant again because they started making things specifically to put on the internet. And that was like one of the big touchstones. I think it was like 2008.
It was early.
So the song from Heartaches, I'm going to play it for you after this because I don't know how much we can play on the air. I don't want to get busted. But
Sure.
It's exactly the beginning to the song from Popstar that's called Humble. It has Adam Levine on it.
Really?
It's so good. The video, it's a song. It's Andy Samberg rapping about how humble he is, but the actual lyrics totally contradict that. So
He's not humble
He's
at
not
all.
humble at all. It's all about bragging. But then the chorus is, "I'm so humble," and it's like supposed to be. He thinks he is being humble, so it's great. And that's from the Marcells. So that's a long story around, but
Awesome.
whatever. It's funny, I think. So check it out if you can.
That is awesome.
The other song, totally different genre. It's called "Blue Moon of Kentucky."
I want to say that sounds familiar.
So it's a country or bluegrass standard. The first version of this I ever heard was in college, and I was looking for a class that I could pass, as you do.
Okay, yeah.
And I took the history of rock and roll music. Sounds like a class I would enjoy.
That sounds
and I
like a
did.
class you would
It was
really
one of the
enjoy.
only A's I got in college. It was one of the only classes I liked to go to. And we started talking about Elvis. And it was one of the first recordings that he had put out. So he has a version. That's kind of my favorite version. It's like the one that's famous. But then here's some of the other names that have covered it too. And most of these I think you'll know. Bill Monroe and his Bluegrass Boys. He's basically the father of bluegrass. So he has created a way to play the banjo.
Okay.
And in the late 60s, maybe from 50s to 60s, he's kind of a big deal. Elvis, Patsy Cline, Eric Church has done a version of this song. Jerry Reed, Alan Jackson, Leanne Rimes, George Jones, the Possum, Wanda Jackson, Ralph Stanley, he's the Oh Brother Where Art Thou guy. Have you heard any of those songs?
Oh, yes.
That was him. Emmylou Harris. Let's see here. Oh, the Kentucky Headhunters.
Yes.
Remember those dudes?
I remember
that
those
one
dudes.
guy had huge pork chop, not hobo pork chop, but just pork chop sideburns.
I loved them.
And then here's a version I found yesterday that I had no idea existed, and it was actually kind of good and weird. Conan O'Brien
Oh.
in the Legally Prohibited Band was what the name was, and it was on the tour that he did in 2011. So it was between the time when his show was like canceled on NBC and before he was like on TBS, and he had to like take this big time off.
Yep.
He went around and played a bunch of shows, like with a band, like music shows.
Really?
Not comedy, but music. And Jack White was on the tour with him sometimes.
From the
'Cause they're
White Stripes?
friends. Yeah, they're really good friends.
Weird.
So Conan's up there. I couldn't find a video, but I did find it on Spotify. And he sings it, and he's kind of like, it's like a late 60s R&B versus like maybe a little bit of country,
Okay.
like 60s country style. And his voice was really good. I was kind of impressed that it was actually him. But it's a short song. It's like 2 minutes long.
I would think he'd have a very nasally voice, like if I tried to sing.
It sounded almost like he was doing an impression of somebody when he was singing. It did not sound like him, and he was kind of really getting after it. A lot of power in his voice.
Interesting.
So that's what I got for that. So I thought those were fun. But both those songs are good and well known as far as, 50 years people have been playing those songs. There's also a song called Blue Moon that Beck did, but it's not that song. It's an original song for him. That's pretty good.
I enjoyed some back in the day. I think the Blue Moon of Kentucky, is that right? Over Kentucky?
Blue Moon of Kentucky.
Of Kentucky. I probably have heard the Elvis version. I enjoy me some Elvis.
I like Elvis too. It goes like Blue Moon of Kentucky, keep on shining.
Yep, I've heard that. Yep, I've heard that.
Shining till the break of day. Something like that.
There we go.
So that's how that one goes.
You got a little bit of a singing voice there. It's not bad.
I haven't sang in a long time, but I used to.
Try this one because, so the last one out of the mixed 12-pack is the honey wheat. Again, doesn't smell great. It just doesn't, but it's very plain.
It definitely smells better than the other one.
It does. It's very plain. It's very like I could eat this with some pizza or tacos or, it does. It works.
It does give it, there is some honey flavor to it, which is nice. It's not overly sweet. I was scared it was going to be like drinking rose petals or something, but it's not that way. You can tell it's warm in this room today because look at the bottles. They're just like dripping.
They're sweating.
Yeah.
No, well, it's summer, so there you go.
Is it? It is. It's
well,
close.
okay, it's spring-ish summer now, so.
Wheat and clover honey.
Clover.
So that's something we'll have to do sometime at some point. We'll get a mead. Because that's like straight honey. And meads are cool because the honey, and this is true of honey anytime you buy it and eat it, but it's very regionalized. So the bees are getting different nectar from different plants that, like, let's say they have them in Georgia. They don't have those same plants here in Nebraska.
Sure.
It totally looks different and it totally tastes different. So meads all across the country have different flavor profiles depending on what kind of things you can do with them. And then you can do crazy cool things with mead, with flavors, fruit flavors. That's a whole different stepping stone to craft.
Okay.
Because it's more like a wine or a wine cooler. They're usually sweet and fruity and flavorful. And a lot of places are, well, not a lot of places anymore, but places are making them still. You can find them. We used to have one in Bellevue that was really, really good.
A meadery,
but they closed, unfortunately. But they made pizza that was really good too.
My only like experience with mead whatsoever was like Renaissance Festival. My brother, way back in the day, had a roommate who was an interesting character. Loved Renfests, and
That's all you got to say.
Oh man, so it may not be the best. Let's just say I would like to try it again.
Yeah,
there we go.
The thing about mead that is interesting and good for people like me, it's really strong. It's really strong.
8-9%, or like wine
14,
strong?
14, 15.
Oh, like a Merlot kind of, or
like
Cabernet.
You're
strong.
taking your time with this. It's an event drink. It's not something you're slamming down in the parking lot before you go to the baseball game.
Oh, okay.
It's a thing.
Let's hammer some meads before we go to the game.
That's going to end up badly.
Yeah. Interesting.
Well, this honey one, so if you had to rank them, I think the honey one for me is number one.
Yeah,
I think that one better.
I think so.
It mellowed out that orange that I don't really care for in the regular Blue Moon, but that one's second. And then, well, what was left of the mango is gone.
Dolan he may have eaten half of the bottle.
I think he's telling the whole world right now that he loved that beer.
He just put it on his Untapped.
I'm sure he did. 5 caps, bam.
Totally.
Yeah.
Right there. All right, next week we wrap up Mainstream May with a craft beer.
Okay.
Can I call it that?
Yeah, you can.
Can I call it that?
It's still independent as far as I know.
It's still independent. Now, even after the new announcement where Dogfish Head and Sam Adams have merged, I think that would almost make Sierra Nevada probably like
the second
mainstream-ish.
Yeah.
I don't even know if from the craft community. Yeah, they're not owned by anybody else.
Yeah.
They're still.
It's one of those beers that people take for granted.
Yes.
It's kind of, I mean, it's not like this one where it's going to be everywhere, but if they do have a couple of choices, you're probably going to see this beer.
So pale ale from Sierra Nevada next week on A Beer with
We have
Atlas.
not done just a straight pale ale.
We have not.
We've just been all over the IPAs, so it'll be fun. I'll have to do some research.
Which is really interesting that it comes during this kind of more mainstream-ish
Yeah.
kind of time for us. So
Yeah.
it'll be a lot of fun. So, all right, Blue Moon, I think, again, thank you. I don't, there's nothing wrong with it, but this is a good gateway.
For sure.
If your go-to when you go eat pizza or whatever is Blue Moon,
Yeah.
go to a brewery and try another wheat.
Hefeweizen, wit. Yeah, anything
Yes.
in that family, you'll probably like those flavors.
It'll be a great introductory beer. It'll taste very familiar to you.
Yeah, for sure.
It'll be a good stepping
And
point.
any
for you.
brewery makes a Hefeweizen or a wit or a wheat. Maybe not so much wit, but definitely a Hefeweizen or a wheat. You're going to find any brewery anywhere will have one.
And there's nothing wrong with tell the bartender when you go to the brewery, I like Blue Moon. What do you have that's there's nothing offensive about that
No,
whatsoever.
a good bartender, that he should be asking you that, and they should be able to sense just by just kind of how you look at it when you walk in, like you're scared to walk to the bar. That's
Right.
like just that hesitation.
Yep.
They should be able to pick that up, figure out if you've been in there before or whatever your jam is, and then by knowing what your preferences are, what you have had in the past, they will be able to find you something. That was one of the things I loved about working in the beer industry was turning somebody on to something that they hadn't had before, but it was in a similar style.
And how accepting you were of okay, if that's what you drank, that's cool. Let's try this instead.
And most places will give you like a little taster, a little taste for free before you decide you want to buy something. So don't be worried about that. Definitely ask for that. And I've never seen anybody be upset that they had to give somebody a taste of a beer before, because they'd rather have you like it than drink half of it and leave the rest. For sure.
And then leave and give them a bad review on Yelp or whatever it is.
Yep,
So,
for sure.
Awesome. All right, Brian,
Yeah.
we'll see you next week.